I had a dream and then it happened.
I dreamed I was in complete darkness, with a staircase leading to a red door in the distance. I open it and see all my relatives. They are sitting around the table in my grandma's apartment, crying. I wake up to a call from my mom. Grandma passed away last night. I completely freaked out.
My sister loved walking through the forest to the next village. I once dreamed of her walking through the woods in her spring jacket and never returning. They searched for her for several days to no avail. I told her about the dream. Thank God she never took that path again.
My aunt has 2 sons. Then I dream that she's pregnant and says, "For balance, here are 2 girls." In the morning, I tell her about the dream, and she was just on her way to an ultrasound. The result, 1 girl. But a few months later, it turned out the girls were, in fact, 2.
As a kid, I never dreamed of my relatives. But once I saw my grandpa, he was standing in a field under a clear sky, talking to me as if saying goodbye. He apologized for not being able to give me a birthday present in person. On the day of his memorial, I found a present for me in his closet. My birthday was in a week.
The night before an exam, I dreamed I was taking it. During the actual exam, I realized with horror and delight, all the questions were exactly like in the dream. I remembered the answers and got an A.
I had a nightmare. I wake up to the smell of burning, but the bedroom door won't open, as if someone is holding it from the other side. I woke up in a cold sweat. That same evening, a short circuit happened in our hallway. When I tried to leave the room, the door was jammed shut because the frame had warped from the heat. The horror from the dream became reality.
In my dream, I was walking my dog and met a stranger in a bright yellow jacket. He smiled and said, "Today is your lucky day." I woke up smiling. That afternoon, I went to the very same park. A man in an identical yellow jacket approached me to return my wallet, which I had dropped. My jaw dropped.
I dreamed I was listening to the radio and a strange but beautiful song was playing. I remembered a line. Under the neon sky, we said goodbye. In the morning, I scoured Shazam and Google. Nothing. I thought my brain made it up. 2 days later, my favorite indie artist released a new single, and it was that exact song.
My grandma had been looking for her lost wedding brooch for years. I dreamed I found it in an old magazine in the attic, between the pages with pie recipes. I woke up and went to check. It was insane. We had leafed through that magazine 100 times. I opened it to that exact page, and the brooch was there.
After my grandpa's death, I dreamed I approached his old radio, which was emitting only static. Suddenly, a voice broke through the noise and said clearly, "I hid it under the rose." In the morning, I went to his dacha. In the abandoned greenhouse, among the weeds, a single rosebush had survived. Under it, we found a box with his wartime letters, which were thought to be lost.
I dreamed I was wandering through my childhood home and found a secret door behind a bookcase. Behind it was a room with a round window, an old children's chair, and a plush fox missing one eye. I told my mom about the dream. She turned pale and said no such room existed. But when we visited that house, behind the bookcase, I found marks on the wall that perfectly outlined the door for my dream.
I dreamed I was driving on an unfamiliar mountain road. A red SUV overtook me. An old man on the roadside was waving his arms and yelling, "Don't cross the bridge!" I woke up anxious. 1 week later, friends invited me on a trip. We were driving on that exact road. A red SUV overtook us, and ahead was that very bridge. I screamed for the driver to stop. We got out and saw that the bridge supports were almost completely washed away by a recent flood. It would have collapsed under our weight.
My grandma died 10 years before I was born, but sometimes she'd appear in my dreams humming a sad melody. I memorized it and once played it on the piano. Hearing it, my mom burst into tears. It was a lullaby that only her mother composed and sang. No one else had ever heard it. There were no notes. I couldn't have known it.
When my sister was in a coma after a crash, I dreamed I visited her. She lay with her eyes open, full of horror, staring at a clock that showed 4:30. I woke up in a panic and rushed to the hospital. Entering her room, I froze. That exact clock was on the wall. It was stopped at 4:30. A nurse said it had broken a week ago. At that very moment, my sister woke up.
My father and I were supposed to meet to reconcile after a long fight. That night, I dreamed he was standing by the cinema with his back to me. He turned around, smiled sadly, and said, "Sorry, son, I can't stay." In the morning, I got a call. My father had died of a heart attack during the night. The doctor said it happened around midnight, exactly when I had the dream.
My dog, my best friend for 15 years, died in my arms. The vet said sometimes they come back to say goodbye in dreams. That night, I dreamed of an endless field. He was running toward me, young, healthy, and radiant. Then he turned and ran toward a rainbow. At its very base, he turned to look at me one last time and vanished. I woke up with a sense of peace. His collar on the nightstand, which had smelled of medicine for a week, now smelled of wild grass and sunshine.
As a kid, I dreamed of a boy my age named Leosha. We played together every night. My parents chalked it up to imagination. When we moved, I found my dad's old class journal in the attic. There was a class photo. I pointed at one boy. "Dad, that's Leosha." My father turned pale. "That's Alexei. He died a week before this photo was taken. You couldn't have known him."